From the northern shores and woodlands to the west, it's history. From copper mines and iron ore, the Great Lakes fishery, to the farmlands of the southern counties and east to Chesapeake Bay. Look at all that waits the sportsman across the USA. And sometimes when the moon brings out the diamonds in the snow, the stillness of the forest is encased in Arctic cold. The wind might whisper through the trees, listen to it say the beauty of our great outdoors across the USA.
The winter sun is going down in the west. It's the third day of our firearm deer season here in Michigan. We have a report for you from around our state, which I think typifies deer hunting in the northern states and the Midwest particularly. Of course, what is deer season all about? Besides getting outdoors and spending days on end in this beautiful country, we want to bring home some venison for our wild game dinners, and we have a recipe for you coming up. Oh, mouth-watering. That's what hunting is all about, bringing home wild meat for the table. We're going to bring all of this your way in just a moment, so stay tuned. I'm Fred Trost. It's time for the Outdoor Digest. No, that's a doe. Beautiful opening morning. This is the type of day we've been waiting for 10 years on November 15th. We have maybe an inch of snow, wet snow. It's on the trees. The visibility is beautiful. The wind is very light, just barely blowing, and it's blowing from the north to the south. We have a clearing here in front of us that's, maybe 150 yards, close to 200 yards across. But we'll be able to see the deer moving. It's just, I just can't. I'm so excited about these conditions. The temperature's about 30 degrees. Tomorrow's going to be a different story, though. We have a front moving through. We may even pick up a lot of snow today. But the conditions are great. It got light quite early with all the snow on the ground and a full moon. But we haven't seen any activity yet. Very few deer in the fields as we were driving here. Hopefully they're going to be out in the next hour or so. So we'll just wait and see.
The past few years, I've been hunting with a handgun for deer. I've taken 3 with this .44 Magnum. It's a Magnaport Stalker with a 2-power scope. I'm extremely confident up to 75 or even 100 yards, but for longer ranges, I really prefer to use my rifle. It's a 7mm Remington Magnum. The scope is variable, 2 to 7 power, with scope covers. Keeps the snow off the lens. I set both guns against a tree, put my mittens on, and wait.
The sun just popped through the clouds. It's 8 o'clock in the morning here on opening day. We haven't seen a deer stir. We've heard shots here and there, but we went for about 10 or 15 minutes without hearing any. Now maybe this sunlight warming things up will get the deer stirring. Expect them to be moving in this woods right across the bean field here. Oh boy, this is beautiful. Oh man. You guys got off your posts mighty early. No bucks?
No. There's one deer up by my place.
One, isn't that something?
Did you see they flushed the 2, huh?
Yeah, the 2,
Yeah.
but that's all I saw.
Yeah.
Mighty quiet.
Yeah.
The 5 of us expected a busy opening morning, picking and choosing the bucks we wanted. But to only see a couple of tails flagging through the trees after daylight was a complete surprise.
Well, you said that these are better afternoon spots.
Yeah. Evening there'll be a lot of deer. They didn't move that many this morning. There was no tracks on the road crossing. Nothing.
Very few tracks.
Bub Bickle lives on this farm. His blind was east of us. My son Zach was 100 yards west of cameraman John Ford and I, and Jeff Alexander was across the road near Bub. Since the deer weren't moving at all, we decided to drive a small swamp.
Yeah, there's Bub and Jeff down there by the truck, and they're going to drive this little swamp that should be chock full of deer, and we're going to be at the other end of the swamp. Last year when we drove it, they run right across that field there, Zach. So we're going to be positioned right on the other side of the dike. See, with this water here, it forces them to come one side or the other.
My son Zach and I headed to the west edge of the Cedars, where we moved at least 30 deer last year at this same time, and the sight of them was still vivid in my mind. It seemed logical that if they weren't moving in the woods, they'd undoubtedly be in this swamp.
Dike. That farm field right down there, or else they'll cut right through the woods, but if we get down there in the corner, we'll be able to see them. So you have your scope back on.
Set back on about 3.
About 3 power. Yeah, you don't want to have it too telephoto for deer when they're moving like this. Whew. Tell you, these are not walking clothes, these are sitting clothes. But Zach is right down there. You can see his blaze orange hat. And they should start driving about any time. So I'll just kind of get back up in here. Keep an eye out. Well, this is a disappointment, a surprise. I don't know what to say. We didn't see one deer come out of this swamp. I mean, last year there were 30 or 40 that ran right through here. I don't know if we just guessed wrong and they popped out the other side. I don't know. How many did you see?
Well, we expected dozens, but saw none. Bub and Jeff said they saw a group of 4 ambling out of the woods before they started walking, but no deer were bedded in the swamp. Could this be the calm before the storm?
It's what we call snow clouds. Pouring in from the north. They'll be dumping a lot of snow this afternoon, maybe. Okay, that doe just spooked. She came out, I think. She may have seen us. Do you see the fawn next to her?
Branches in the way.
Yeah, there's a branch there, but that's a doe and a fawn, apparently. Yeah, they go back into the woods. I don't know if they saw us. Oh, there goes another one. Boy, there's a lot of activity down there. They're snorting. I'd say that they smelled Zach. That'd be my guess. The deer are moving now. It's getting towards 1 o'clock and their activity's picking up. So's the wind.
Maybe it was the pending storm, but these deer waited until the afternoon to feed.
Small buck.
It was a buck?
It's a buck.
No.
Very small.
John's 24-power camera lens could see the spikes, but I couldn't.
That's a doe.
It's got tiny little spikes, dude.
Little spikes? I sure don't see him.
Besides the incredible magnification, the video camera gives us something our naked eye doesn't: instant replay. You know the old story about the deer ducking the hunter's arrow? This deer is spooked by a sound, and she drops down to spring away. Watch it again. The sound of an archer's bow causes a deer to crouch and jump like this, giving the appearance of ducking an arrow. But deer duck like this all the time at any little sound.
Boy, they sure weren't out here this morning, but this afternoon, they've been regular. She seems at ease. She's flipping her tail. Got 7 of them out here now. You ought to be able to see, 5 of them?
Now that sunset is a little over an hour away, the deer are moving and feeding freely. I can peek under branches and see the other deer moving into the field. John's camera isn't so flexible. Even though Zach, John, and I all have antlerless tags, and the farmers in the area want many of these antlerless deer removed because of crop damage, we, well, like many hunters, hold out for a big buck on opening day. Last year I didn't see the 6 or 8 point in the rain. This year I couldn't see the size of the spikes.
You gonna shoot him?
I don't know.
Can you just scoot over and I can give you a better idea? No, they're not.
You don't think they're 3?
No, I don't.
In Michigan, a legal buck has to have 3-inch antler tines. Is this spiked buck legal? Well, we debated and made a judgment that it wasn't. But looking at it again, I'm not so sure. Zach, John, and I all filled our antlerless tags on the 3rd day. The first 2, we held out for that ever-hopeful big buck. The anticipation of hunting. That's what makes it so exciting.
Just about out of camera light, aren't we?
Yeah, it's gonna be a little grainy, but you can still see.
We got to get down towards that corner.
I think we better move.
Tomorrow morning we'll slide down that way a little bit.
Richard Jensen caught this 2-pound white bass on a lipstick jig. Jim Slingerland has an 8.5-pound river-caught bowfin or dogfish, not a real handsome fish. Here's a big lake whitefish, 6 pounds 2 ounces. Jack Morrison caught it on spawn. Keith Allen's bow and arrow 8-pointer had a 22-inch spread and came from the farm country. Judy Hosler tagged this 9-pointer with her shotgun. And here's 17-year-old Cecil Baker III's 10-point. It had a 21-inch spread. Roger Anderson's 9-inch bearded turkey weighed 22 pounds 14 ounces. What a big gobbler that is. And here's an angler, Mike Avery, who's happy he's got a nice fish too. It's a 31-inch walleye, and there's a great management success story behind this fish.
Well, this is a long, lean fish. 31 inches should be 11, 12 pounds, as you know. And you'll see a lot of fish that size coming up here. But this fish, I talked with a biologist, they say it was probably an old fish, probably 8 or 9 years old. So the reason I had this mounted was we've only been planting walleye in Saginaw Bay for about 10 years. So this is probably one of the first fish ever planted in Saginaw Bay. So I think it has a lot of meaning right there.
Congratulations, Mike Avery. The story behind that fish goes way beyond the catch. For having caught this great symbol of better water quality and scientific management, and for having it mounted, we'll make you, Mike Avery, our Outdoor Digest Trophy Angler of the Week.
Before taxidermy evolved as an art, why were animal skins preserved and stuffed? Cavemen began the practice of drying and stretching hides over mud and rocks for ritual purposes, which continued in different forms for thousands of years. One of the first museum recreations of a lifelike pose was a rhinoceros skin stuffed for a museum in Italy in 1600.
My opening day was near Hale in Iosco County, hunting typical second-growth woods that had been cut in the lumbering days and burned sometime later. A good habitat for deer with popples and birch, maple, and a few oaks scattered about. The blind, this one, had been set up for cameraman O.J. Upotnieks and myself by the Bandro family on a parcel of land they hunt. Thermos of coffee, an extra package or 2 of cookies, you know, the necessities. What a luxurious setup we had there. But the best part of this blind was that it kept us out of that terrible freezing opening day rain. Seeing deer was no problem. Most were along the woods where it met a little grass swale. Some stayed further back in the woods, appearing to sneak. Always vigilant, those deer interested me the most. Put the scope on them, check them out, looking for horns. My heart was pounding most of the time on opening day.
Can you see it? I think it's a buck.
No bucks, but what excitement. Opening day, nothing like it. 23rd opening day in a row for me, and I still get the shakes. Now, will I get a buck this year? Well, in order to get one, you got to see one first. Maybe it's this one. Now there's some more deer. Looks a lot like Baldy's again. OJ and I continued to watch a steady stream of deer that came in from all directions. At one time, I had 7 or 8 deer on several sides of the blind. Knowing that one false move, just one false move, might spook them all, we could hardly move. That looked like a buck, but no dice. Some more does and fawns come through on their way to their day's bedding area. Now, they can't be all that fond of the damp, crummy weather either. Just then, out of nowhere, a deer I hadn't seen before tried to skirt the edge of the woods, right along that little grass swale I told you about.
OJ, can you see it? Okay, I gotta shoot it, OJ.
Here it is. Yeah, he's dead. Oh yeah, good shot. Yeah, okay. All right. Hey, I'm gonna put this gun over here, Hoj. Double check the safety. Lay it on the stump. Man alive. You know, I sure don't get the ones with the big horns, Hoj, but I run into an incredible streak of luck here. 3 years in a row. That's incredible for me. Nice buck. Looks like it's extremely well fed. Super. Oh, darn. Good looking animal. Maybe get the tag out. All right. All right. My favorite part of deer hunting right here. Well, actually, it's the stakes later on. Put my vest up there. Time to get the tag out. All right. Another lucky season. November 15th. Okay. Cut that one. I gotta put the 15th. That's the date. Okay. Oh, this is great. 1 point and one. I better check it. Yep, 1 point. That's for sure. 1 point and 1 point. And the sex of it is obviously, I haven't really checked, but I'm sure it's a male. All right. That's it. She's ready to go. Hunting buddy Rob Bandro filled a buck tag too. Hey, this is a dandy 6 point. You didn't come in out of the rain.
No, I didn't. I stayed all day.
You're all day. Of course, you had a roof over your head too.
Yeah, I did.
How many deer did you see?
Oh, approximately 40 to 50 all day.
40 to 50 deer. How many bucks?
4.
Holy cats! And you just took one?
Yep, just one.
You want to hunt some more, huh?
Yeah, tomorrow.
My next stop was at Lenny's and Tuck's buck poles at Houghton Lake to hang my buck. There I met some hunters who weren't so lucky and some that were even luckier. Did you get one today?
Yes, I did. 4-point buck, 10:30 this morning.
Did you see a lot of deer?
No, I saw 4.
4 deer, and that was the only buck?
That's the only buck I saw.
Hey, you got to be happy with that, though, huh?
I am. I'm happy.
Yeah. Anyone else? How about you, ma'am? Did you get a buck today?
Yes, 9-point.
A 9-pointer?
Exactly.
Is that the biggest one up here?
I don't know. I don't think so. But I got him. There he is right there.
How many deer did you see?
I seen 3.
3 deer in that. And
that
what?
was 7:45 this morning. I got him.
Did you see any after that?
Nope.
Did you hunt?
I was hollering too loud. Everybody left.
Is this your first buck?
First one, 2 years.
Holy
I missed it last year.
Down in Ingham County, Keith Traver tagged a dandy buck.
Well, Keith, it looks like you had some pretty good luck. You didn't have the bullfrogs pestering you in your blind like I did, eh?
No, I was back there in my own property, sitting in my chair, waiting for a deer, and I was thinking to myself, I should have shot a few more squirrels because they were making an awful lot of noise when I saw a big buck come through one of my shooting lanes, and I got up to chase him and decided that maybe it'd be better if I sat in my chair, and it wasn't 5-10 minutes before this buck came through, and I saw him moving, so I had the gun all up looking through the scope, and when he stepped into the firing lane, he had horns, and I pulled the trigger.
Kathy Beitler's husband took his buck in Eaton County.
Well, I started towards the road because I had to go to work, and I come back to check on Kathy because there was a shot back here. And while I was standing there, he come running through. He probably weighs close to 200 pounds. It's a big older deer with kind of busted up antlers.
Well, I think that's pretty good. That should have been my deer, you know.
Hey, not fast enough.
I guess. I'm proud.
I was thankful for my spike. My season was already a great one. And I know Rob Bandro, hunting buddy, was pleased with his 6-point. He should be. It's a nice buck. The folks at Houghton Lake kept the faith despite the weather. And Keith Haver was a happy hunter. Kathy and Bob Beitler will eat venison again this year. But the most excited deer hunter I ran into was the lady at Houghton Lake. I didn't get her name, but I sure loved her opening day spirit.
Is this your first buck?
First one, 2 years.
Oh,
I missed it last year.
James Finch sent us a recipe for venison meatballs jalapeno. Now, I was just a little bit surprised at where the jalapeno comes in this. Now, this is the most important ingredient in this recipe right here is properly trimmed venison burger. All the fat and fallow and connective tissue is removed, and that gives it the gamey taste. After that, it's just your basic meatloaf or meatball recipe. It has your garlic salt, minced onion, and you could use fresh onion here if you wanted to, milk, lemon juice, and you could use fresh lemon if you wanted to, and then your cornflake crumbs. And then this is just mixed very, very thoroughly, and then rolled into the, 1 1/4 inch bite-sized meatballs. And then it's put on a cookie sheet and baked in a single layer until they're just browned in a 350-degree oven. Once they're browned, you want to drain them very, very thoroughly on paper towel. Now here's where the jalapeno comes in. It's actually in a jelly that goes into a sauce that is mixed with a chili sauce, so it kind of gives it a sweet and sour taste. And then once the sauce is thoroughly mixed in with the meatballs, then you're going to put a lid on it and let it cook for about an hour, and it'll just simmer at this point. And I wonder what Bob Garner is going to say about these bite-sized meatballs.
I can't figure out what you guys are doing, cutting them up and eating them in small bits. I mean, this is one of those good recipes that really, in order to taste this one, reasonably well, one swabs a little sauce on it and then
Not
down the
everyone.
hatch.
It's not everyone, though, that regards a 1/4 pound of meat as bite-sized.
A morsel.
Yeah, as a morsel.
This is perfect. You're ruining the consistency of it by kind of. No, this is really a good recipe.
I like that. If it's that jelly that makes a difference.
Jalapeno jelly. Yep. Just
And
a
yet it's
little
not
bit
so
of
hot you can't stand it.
That's right.
Everybody will like it.
Yeah, it is. It is a little different, and you can still taste the venison. That little
bit.
venison flavor comes
The
through.
chili sauce, you can taste each and everything in this.
You know, it's kind of a good alternative to the old Swedish style
I was
meatballs or
just going to say,
barbecued.
I don't like those. I'm not a meatball fan, but these, because they're different, I like them.
I love them, but this is much different. Much different.
If this recipe doesn't strike your fancy, we must have tempted you with one of our fish and wild game delights in the past few weeks. Well, I hope you enjoyed our deer season opening report from Michigan. You know, hunting in Michigan really typifies hunting around the Midwest, around the country for that matter, although the weather is just a little bit different. Be sure you get outdoors this weekend if you can. It's a great place to be. See you next week.
Zach, John, and I all filled our antlerless tags on the 3rd day. The first 2, we held out for that ever-hopeful big buck. Next week's show is going to be a real shoot-'em-up, not like you see on all the other crime shows. We're going to show you guns used in recreational ways at our shooting show from our 1989 outdoor fair. Interesting and informative. Great recipe for pheasant tartlets and all our usual features. So join me next week right here on public television.